The Lord of the Rings Rise to War could be a city builder game like Rise of Kingdoms, but it uses the Lord of the Rings intellectual property. Man, I have got to check this game out to see if it's worth playing. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this video, I am not at all sponsored by the makers of this game, and I'm going to share my opinion about what I see as I make my way through the game here. Now, I've gone through the first set of chapters in the game to try to get a better understanding of, like, what the heck am I even looking at? And I went in with the expectation that perhaps this will be really similar to Rise of Kingdoms. There are things that are similar, and there are definitely things that are different here. So if we load into the game, as soon as that happens, ooh, baby, it'll pull up my city. There we go. So this is a base building game. It's a commander collecting game, equipment collecting game, and resource management. This is all about logistics as well, and you'll see why in a moment. So here is my city, and when I enter my city, there's a number of things that I can do. The most important of those things are, of course, managing my army and the different commanders that lead them into battle. Also, I can go in and build stuff naturally. I've got a bunch of different things that I can construct, ranging from economic buildings to military buildings. And by the way, I've chosen to be the Dwarven faction, and there are a series of factions, and I'm oversimplifying all of this, but for the sake of this video, it's good enough, right? I've chosen to be the Dwarven faction, so I start with different dwarf units and different dwarf tiered troops. I actually need to queue up some construction right now, so while I'm here, I'm just going to upgrade my hospital real quick so that my troops don't die when they get injured. Now, this is the city area, and I can train troops as you might expect. There are different troops that I've already recruited. Those Ram Riders are looking pretty dope, by the way. I'm pretty hyped about the way this looks so far. If we get a look, however, at the way that we actually use the different commanders, this is where things get sort of interesting. So let me show you the different commanders that I've recruited so far, and spoiler alert, there's only two of them, Dwalin and also Faramir. Now, these two commanders are equipped with a little bit of gear. As you wear this gear into battle, you gain familiarity with it, and you get more stats. Stats are shown over here that do a series of different things, ranging from making you do more damage to just moving faster, which you'll see is going to be super, super relevant in this game. Also, you have the opportunity to upgrade your commanders with some talent points. And the way you recruit these guys is pretty funny. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But allocating the different stat points here makes your commander, your leader, much, much more effective in battle. Now, I started the game with these two commanders. You may be wondering, well, how do you recruit them? The way that you recruit them is by gaining their respect. You know, that aspect of this game, I don't know why in Rise of Kingdoms we're recruiting commanders from, like, gold keys. Like, they, you know, the commander, like, pops out of the box, and there they are. But you got to earn their respect. And how might you earn the respect of a mighty warrior? Obviously, you offer them mead. Obviously. So if I offer a gift of alcohol to this commander, then I get more of their respect. And after I've sent enough alcohol to earn their respect and enough food to earn their respect, they're like, all right, cool, I'll fight for you. Respect, right? That's, oh boy. So there are a bunch of different commanders that you can recruit. And I don't even know what my influence does here. It looks like I get some benefits from that too. And you can play a variety of the different factions in this game, and we'll talk about that in a moment. There also is this tavern area where you're given tips, and you can send your commanders off on missions, which is essentially like, hey, like, go do this for a couple hours, and yeah, it's a way to pass the time, I suppose, with your commanders when you aren't doing anything else. So now that I've talked about commanders and their talent points and putting some equipment onto them, let me go and show you what a battle actually looks like. I've got Faramir stationed out on this territory, and you can see these green squares show that I have actually obtained a large amount of territory. This territory is used to gain ring power. The ring, of course, this is a Lord of the Rings game. The ring is used to give you a bunch of bonuses and buffs. You get to choose from this talent tree where those buffs are going. And the more territory and the more high power territory you have, the more ring power you get per hour. I'm currently getting 297 ring power per hour. You can see that all the way up on the top. And that is going to, of course, give me some sweet buffs. Now, how would you know which territory offers more ring power per hour? Obviously, the territory with more stuff on it. So this territory that's like just plains is 1 per hour. And you got like a little farm thing over here that's like 30 per hour. You got some rocks and trees on there, 60 per hour. You get some bigger trees, 300 per hour. So the more ring power it gives per hour, the tougher it is to actually take. And a lot of this territory I can't actually capture yet because I have just started the game. So Faramir is out and about, and I'll show you a battle. And you don't really see much when units fight. The thing you need in order to go anywhere with your unit is energy. That energy is by commander, which makes me think, if I can recruit more commanders to my lineup, can I just have more energy accruing on each commander and like outfit them with an army, run them out and do stuff? And like, is the meta just to have more commanders? I bet you it is. But for now, let me go in here and take this fight with Faramir. Now, it's going to use 10 of my 26 accumulated energy. It's going to take me 26 seconds to walk the 1 square. Now, granted, I just started the game. I have no tech. I have no anything. So I'm just going to run out, and I'm going to do that now. You're going to see them walk, unless I have zoomed in too much, and now you can't see them walk, so I'll zoom back out. And they're going to go to the spot they're going to fight. I actually don't know how to make this little menu go away when I tap different squares, which is fairly awkward, but I'm still learning the game. Here we go. In 5 seconds, we'll actually arrive on that square. Then we'll fight it. There we go. And we are certainly going to be victorious because that fight was going to be so freaking easy. So I occupy the land. That's going to give me a bunch of resources. And I haven't talked about resources yet because I haven't even run out of them for any of the construction I've needed to do. It's just free for all at the start, constructing stuff, which is the case typically in this style of game. I want to give you a lot to do at the start, okay? Now, since I have battled with Faramir, some number of units from that battle have been injured. And if I look at the stats of the fight, none of my units died, 2 were wounded. I mean, that was just too easy of a fight. I probably shouldn't have even done that, except in order to get to where I'm going, I actually needed to have this square over here. You can only go to places that are within 1 tile of where you're already at. So I'm trying to get this right over here, 30 power land. Hello, baby. And in order to do that, since I just did a fight and some number of my units were wounded, I actually can go and I can refresh the units that are in my army, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to bring all the units it's going to let me bring. I'm going to send them in. And those reinforcements are now coming from my base to the army. And thankfully, they march a lot faster than the full army does. Because, man, you could be here a while. So these reinforcements are now on the way. As soon as they're there, I can go fight again. Now, there is a version of this where you get to see much more detailed combat. And I got to go back to the tavern to show you what that looks like. There is the Red Book of Westmarch, which seems to be like the equivalent of the expedition. The majority of this is currently locked, but if I make my way into here, I can probably replay one of these. And I'll go and I'll do that now. I'm going to revisit. So if I go and I revisit here, there's a little bit of story that I've just been skipping, and you follow the tiles and send preset armies to go and fight. The thing that I find is a little weird about this is like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be learning, and I don't quite know what I'm supposed to be watching. But this is the style of combat in the game that is a bit more detailed, obviously, than what you saw me do when I walked to the tile and I just sort of free captured it. Now, there's no interaction that I'm doing here. You can see the battle log is in the upper right, and they're off to the races. I actually am trying to zoom in, but I can't. And I'll pick up the pace here. And you sort of watch the fight as it unfolds. There's something going on with rounds in this game that I haven't yet learned. We just entered round 2. I think that probably has to do with the skills on commanders and things that get used. And there are even items that work off of different rounds, giving different bonuses. So that's my suspicion here as to kind of what's going on. We're now in round 3. You can see, I guess, I've got some percentage of units remaining over here. I've got more than they do, which is why the blue line is expanding here. That's my guess. And, I mean, I don't know what again, I don't quite understand what I'm supposed to take away from this. And the weirdest part about this campaign is that I can just skip all these animations, and I'm like, basically, the whole thing is just washing. They probably are going to expand on this game mode, but I mean, I like seeing the detailed combat. I was hoping like maybe there's a skill I use or something going on there that would engage me a bit more. There are, of course, quests going on right now, a number of quests, and these rewards are actually pretty legit. These medals are used to recruit items and equipment. As you expand your territory, you get some rewards as well. Ooh, I'm going to use those coins to do some recruiting as well. I'll show you what it's like to try to get some new commanders. There's some buffs going on over here. There's some gems that you can get by connecting to different social media platforms. But the thing I want to talk about that I think is kind of the end game that's interesting, that I wasn't expecting, is like, what are you even doing in this game? Right? So you're expanding territory, and presumably you're going to fight other players, but for what? And what I understand is that there are seasons in this game. And during each season, there's a series of objectives. Those objectives change based on the season. There's defense of a capital from being captured by other factions. So you're battling for control of different regions on a map. You're battling against other factions, and there's one main objective that everybody's going to try for at the very end, and like to the victors go the spoils. There's a bunch of currency you get from doing all this, and that currency gives you some rewards over here. And what I found so surprising about this is what happens at the end of a season. You actually like lose all your buildings and a lot of the progress you got on things. What you keep is your commanders. Your commander respect obviously is kept. You don't lose respect in this game, obviously. Your commander's skill points from other sources are retained. Your influence is retained. Your items and friends are retained. Your equipment and equipment strengthening is all retained. So you keep your equipment, you keep your commanders, but periodically, like all the land is reset. The map is reset. The resources are reset. Your ring is reset. Your unit types can be reset. Your structures are reset. So I think that this is kind of interesting that the whole thing starts all over again. And this actually is kind of compelling, which is that much like how there's like Diablo ladders with seasons, and season gameplay was really popular, you keep very little after each season and you start fresh. And I think that's kind of neat. I think that could be very fun. And I think that could keep the game very, very fresh. Although obviously I would have to make my way through a season, and I don't know how long these last in order to really understand what that's like. There are chronicles over here, and I don't know how long they're going to be. There aren't even all that many of them, which is fairly surprising, but maybe this is just the first range of chronicles, right? There's 11 so far in the season, and we're on the first one. It only lasts 2 days. So here you can see the 2-day duration left on the season journey here for the first, part of it. I'm curious to see how seasons play out, although I don't know how committed I am to running this account through an entire season, quite frankly. And what I also found surprising about this game is that the bundles were not as numerous as I thought they would be. So there's a $1 bundle here that is actually going to unlock Aragorn, which, like, obviously they've done this in a way that's just designed to tempt you to spend $1, because like it's just $1 and you get a commander. And maybe I will pick this up and cover it on my second channel. I'll have a link in the description if you want to go check out my second channel, where I'm primarily playing Infinite Galaxy, and every now and then I throw up a video about another game. There's a season pass, which seems like another very high value way to probably get a lot of rewards, although I'm in no position to really assess the value of those rewards yet. And there's a daily discount, but like, I can spend a small amount of gems each day, I guess. Battle readiness. I mean, there is a surprisingly little amount of things that you can buy currently in this game, which I think is not a bad thing. There's a $10 and a $5 monthly pack, and maybe a season is expected to last about a month. That would make sense if these things lined up. In fact, I would be really shocked if they didn't. Also, you can buy gems, and this is where you can jam out just a ton of money. So raw gems is where you would shell out just a ridiculous amount of cash if you wanted to whale in this game. And I was surprised there just weren't like a lot of bundles popping up, and I haven't gotten a single pop-up bundle so far. Actually, I find this very surprising that in my gameplay, I cannot recall a single pop-up bundle after like 5 or so hours of playing, encouraging me to buy something on a limited time basis. 0 of those. So I think that is actually very refreshing that none of those time-based urgency spend now things have appeared. Yep, although they might come later and they might be very good deals. I am not yet in a position to assess that. Now, just to show you what it's like to try to recruit, if I make my way over to these rare treasures and I use some of these coins over here, these I mentioned earlier are really valuable because you have the opportunity, the possibility of getting either the things you need to get respect from different commanders, or it looks like these invitation letters are a full unlock. 0.1% chance to get a full unlock of a legendary tier commander. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Oh, baby. So let's just smash the button a couple times and see what we get. Nothing fancy there. I'm going to do one more time and see what we get. There's an epic Leader's Short Sword. Might, speed, army attack for melee. Okay. And then the first 4 rounds. You see, I mentioned weapons do stuff with rounds. Physical damage ignores 5% of the target's defense. I mean, I'm definitely equipping that very, very soon. Like, that's happening basically after this video is complete. Now, because I have done a bunch of recruits here, oh, I got a guaranteed exquisite. Okay, so I went to pity and got a guaranteed exquisite on that 5th summon. I guess that's what happened there. And for some reason, there's this other tier of rewards, this other chest. And I don't know why I would draw from here yet rather than from the other one. Maybe I have a better chance for these invitation letters. Maybe that's what I should be looking at here. I'm not yet sure why I would pick one or the other than the fact that from this one over the course of this season, if I open 50 of them, it looks like I might be guaranteed to get Gandalf. Is that what's going on? I think it is. Let me just rip open a couple of these over here, and maybe we'll slowly work toward our guaranteed Gandalf. No major luck there. Those items all looked pretty basic compared to the things I've been getting so far. So if you want to try your luck, you obviously can. And there's an exchange here that I'll get at influence level 5. Maybe that'll tell me a little bit more about how to trade some of those armor pieces I've been getting that are fairly duplicative. So if we key back into Rise of Kingdoms, which is a game that I play extensively for those of you that are visiting the channel for the very first time, the combat in this game is not real time in the same way that it is in Rise of Kingdoms, where you are physically controlling your units in every moment when they're out and about outside of your city. There's a lot to do, but a lot of what's going on is just time. To even march home from this position, if I were to do that now, recall this army, I mean, to go that tiny distance is 3 minutes. Now, granted, I mean, there's not really any reason I need to go home currently. I could change the composition of my army, but a lot of what I think is going on in this game is time. And if you were looking for a game that doesn't require you to have sort of the open field skills like Rise of Kingdoms does, then I think this is a pretty compelling Lord of the Rings collection game where you're going to spend a lot of your time just kind of running around and, well, battling for territory and battling other players. I haven't yet fully figured out the significance of this entire map and the territories and all of the different objectives that will take place over the course of the season. But if you're interested in seeing what that might look like, let me know down below in the comments, and I can continue to play around with this game to kind of see how it evolves. Also, leave a comment if you would want to potentially join me in Server 59, and we could start an alliance. Again, I have no intention of whaling in this game or making it a priority game for me right now where I'm spending a lot of time. It's just something that I'm kind of enjoying off to the side, and because it went live in the last 12 hours or so, I mean, yeah, I'm checking it out. I'm seeing what it's like. And of course, I love Lord of the Rings, which is what attracted me in the first place. Until next time, good luck. And if you download, let me know. Leave a comment. Server 59. And we could start a guild. A fellowship. Yes, fellowship. That. Of course it's a fellowship.